Beneath the relentless gaze of the sun, I stood amidst an ancient tapestry, woven with the superstitions that haunt those who have endured the trials of battle. It was said, amongst the old and weary veterans, that the last mission you embark upon would be the one laden with the cruelest twists of fate. I was almost inclined to dismiss it as mere folklore, until my own experience branded that bitter truth into my flesh. As I reminisce on the passages scribbled hastily in my journal, the eerie resemblance of those words with my recent encounter reverberates through my bones. I've undertaken the solemn duty to relay this tale, albeit with altered names, to shield the innocent. Many will turn away, unwilling to accept the reality I lay before them. Yet, I bear the burden of knowledge, and in sharing, perhaps, find a sliver of redemption. A haze of creosote and sagebrush suffused the air, their scent intertwining with the sprawling majesty of the Sierra Nevada mountains stretching out before me, an undying testament to nature's grandeur. But amidst this beauty, a macabre task was at hand. I was crafting a grave, a solemn pit to house another transient soul in this ceaseless cycle of life and death. Before I could grasp the gravity of my situation, a looming figure cast a long shadow within the cavity I had carved from the earth. Clasped in his left hand was a gun, an extension of the darkness that clouded his intentions. My own name, declared with the cold detachment of a stranger, reverberated through the empty spaces between us. "Marine Corps Sergeant Lawson," he announced, unveiling himself as Navy SEAL Commander Joseph Flint. The sight of the special warfare insignia, a SEAL trident glistening ominously upon his attire, sent a ripple of unease through my already tense frame. Despite the distinct disadvantage of my position, the instinct to survive, to fight, surged within me, challenging the complacency that had settled in my bones. But I was not ready to yield, not ready to abandon my newfound mission of honoring the deed, a task that brought a semblance of peace amidst the chaos. Caught in the struggle between duty and survival, my focus shifted to the ink that adorned my bicep, a marking that bore the weight of my past, a constant reminder of the sinner who sought redemption through service. A tense silence hung between us, broken only by the stranger's insistent offer, a chance to reclaim a semblance of my former self, albeit through a path drenched in blood and vengeance. I couldn't deny the allure, the chance to metamorphose from a humble gravedigger to a harbinger of justice once more. But I held on to the fragment of peace I had found in this quiet solace amidst the graves. My resolve hardened, my grip tightened around the handle of my shovel, a beacon of my newfound purpose. Yet, time seemed to betray me as the stranger wielded a tranquilizing device, a tool I had witnessed during my time in Afghanistan. Before I could fully comprehend his actions, a burst of pain erupted at the base of my neck, a precursor to the encroaching darkness that threatened to engulf my consciousness. As I fought against the invading darkness, a whirlwind of emotions surged within me, a maelstrom of anger and betrayal. The world around me morphed into an abyss, consuming the vibrant hues of the day as I spiraled into unconsciousness, only to awaken in an unfamiliar setting, ensnared within a web woven with deceit and uncertainty. My surroundings bore a stark contrast to the rugged beauty of the Sierra Nevada, replaced by sterile monochrome walls, framing expansive windows that unveiled a sprawling expanse of grassy plains. At the far end of the room, a gargantuan screen loomed, a silent sentinel amidst the chilling stillness. The very man who had orchestrated my abduction now approached, a jug of Gatorade extended as a perverse offering of hospitality. As I sipped the artificial sweetness, a swirling concoction of anger and curiosity brewed within me, setting the stage for a journey that promised to be as harrowing as it was enlightening, a descent into the dark corners of humanity, where redemption and vengeance danced in a perilous ballet. In the stillness that enveloped us, I found myself nodding towards him, my body too weary to embody the resentment that simmered in my veins. A forced gesture of gratitude as the artificial hydration coursed through me, dulling the edges of my furious resolve. Flint spoke with a kind of urgency that grated on my nerves, his words dripping with false empathy and hollow promises of wealth that hung in the thick air between us. An unknown voice reverberated through the spacious room, pulling my gaze to an older figure adorned in a suit and tie, who sat with a regal bearing at the far end of the elongated table. The remnants of affluence were etched into his features, evident in the diamond-studded watch that graced his wrist and the neatly groomed mane of silver hair that crowned his head. Around the table, men of varying ages bore witness to this unfolding narrative, a gathering of souls unified by an unspoken camaraderie that stemmed from years immersed in the harsh realities of life. Their rugged demeanors and intricate tapestries of ink on their skins spoke volumes, hinting at histories steeped in battles fought both on and off the battlefield. A silent acknowledgement passed between us, an understanding of the complex web of circumstances that had brought us all here, under the watchful gaze of a man named Howard LaSalle. As LaSalle emerged from the shadows, a ripple of recognition swept through the assembly. The very man who graced the covers of business magazines stood before us, his fortune built upon empires that spanned industries. A magnate who now sought our expertise in a mission that reeked of desperation and vengeance. The room tensed as Flint took center stage, his control device punctuating the silence with a solemn click. Images began to flicker upon the expansive screen, heralding the start of a narrative that promised to entwine our fates in unforeseen ways. I was introduced as the stoic Marine Corps sergeant, a veteran of secret operations in the treacherous terrains of Afghanistan. Despite the accolades that hung heavy on my shoulders, I could not fully embrace the reverence bestowed upon me. My eyes met those of the assembled group, an ensemble cast brought together by fate and circumstance. One by one, stories unfolded, painting portraits of warriors forged in the crucibles of various battles across time and space. Josue Fernandez, a man whose youth belied the weight of his experiences, seasoned by years tracking foes through the dense jungles of Panama. His counterpart, Anthony Tennyson, brought a diverse skill set, merging expertise in both the ATF and the Air Force, a testament to his enduring resilience. As he indulged in a can of wintergreen tobacco, I couldn't help but sense a kindred spirit, someone who had navigated the labyrinthine corridors of conflict with a fierce determination. Matthew Hayne rounded out our motley crew, his journey beginning in the specialized realm of explosive ordnance disposal before escalating to acts of counterterrorism. A man whose eyes bore the marks of countless battles, impatient to forge ahead, to act. Our attention soon shifted to the unfolding tragedy that bound us all to this singular moment in time. Beatrice LaSalle, a vibrant young woman immersed in the world of digital storytelling, had found herself ensnared in a web of darkness and deceit. Alongside her companion, Robert Ethan, they adventured into the heart of Mexico, driven by the pursuit of ancient mysteries and the allure of forgotten temples. A journey that had led them into the clutches of Los Escorpinos, a name that echoed with tales of brutality and bloodshed, their reputation preceding them in hushed whispers and fearful glances. As images danced across the screen, I felt a knot of dread form in my stomach, an ominous foreshadowing of the trials that lay before us. The chilling visage of their leader, the devourer of souls, held us captive, a living embodiment of the darkness that threatened to engulf Beatrice. As Mr. LaSalle recounted the astronomical ransom that hung over his daughter's head, a veil of darkness seemed to descend upon his features, mirroring the desperation that clawed at us all. Bound by circumstance, we found ourselves at the precipice of a journey, fraught with danger and uncertainty, our paths converging in a desperate bid to salvage innocence from the jaws of evil, to venture into the heart of darkness and retrieve the lost, whatever the cost. In the gravid silence that had settled in the room, Flint turned to face us, his voice echoing with an intensity that reverberated through my very marrow. He emphasized that each one of us had been handpicked, meticulously chosen for this perilous venture based on our unique set of skills and experiences. He recounted his lone journey into the heart of the enemy territory, a reconnaissance that had convinced him of the necessity of assembling a team of individuals with specific expertise. With a flick of his wrist, he initiated the playback of a footage, a fragment of a joyous time that seemed eons ago, encapsulating the blissful ignorance of Beatrice and Robert before they were ensnared in a web spun with malevolent intentions. They were seen meandering through the vibrant aisles of a Mexican mercado, the flickering scenes capturing the vivacity of the street markets and the peculiarities of the occult bazaars that dotted the landscape. Mason jars, voodoo dolls, and an array of bizarre artifacts filled the frame, offering a glimpse into a world that seemed both vibrant and ominous in equal measure. The footage continued to unravel the couple's journey as they sought guidance from a shaman, a figure adorned with rings on every digit, his robes a testament to his mystic stature. A fleeting exchange unfolded, leading them towards the outskirts of Mexico City, where the infamous Island of Dolls beckoned with its eerie assembly of hanging mannequins, the relics of a place marred by whispers of supernatural occurrences. The abrupt transition in the footage brought an unsettling shift in the atmosphere, as the vibrant scenes were replaced by ones steeped in darkness and impending doom. A chilling scream, the harsh reality of a weapon brandished with ill intent, and the sudden descent into darkness encapsulated the horrifying turn of events that had unfolded within the bowels of a secluded cave. A silence engulfed us, as the screen transitioned to an image of a sprawling mansion, a structure nestled amidst lush greenery, a deceptive facade that housed individuals with nefarious intentions. Flint broke the silence, delineating our mission with a determined resolve, his words painting a vivid picture of the stronghold that harbored Marissa Baccarin and her menacing crew. A plan began to take shape, an operation that called for stealth, precision, and an unyielding will to bring Beatrice back from the clutches of darkness. The reward, a substantial sum that promised to alleviate the burdens of our past, yet the true prize lay in the potential redemption that this mission offered. I found myself transfixed by the image of Beatrice that graced the screen, a stark reminder of the innocence that hung in the balance. A flood of emotions surged within me as I contemplated the harrowing journey that had brought her to this juncture, a victim of the relentless pursuit of online fame and societal pressures. Despite my initial reservations and the anger that still simmered within me towards Flint, I realized that my resolve to help transcended beyond monetary incentives. A newfound determination blossomed within me, fueled by a desire to honor the spirit of a young woman who had found herself ensnared in a vicious trap. Our conversation transitioned to logistical discussions, as Fernandez queried about the equipment that would aid us in our mission. Flint's cryptic response left us in suspense, yet the determined gleam in his eyes hinted at an arsenal that promised to level the playing field. As we made our way out of the boardroom, Fernandez shared his personal vendetta against the soul-devouring leader of the enemy faction, a narrative steeped in loss and a thirst for retribution. His words echoed the sentiments that thrummed in our veins, a collective desire to mete out justice and to reclaim the life that had been stolen. Our steps resonated with a newfound purpose as we approached the chopper, a behemoth of metal and technology that promised to carry us into the heart of the battle. The familiar scent of sweat and exhaust greeted us, as the roar of engines signaled the commencement of our journey. We found ourselves enveloped in a cocoon of preparation, surrounded by an array of weaponry that promised both protection and vengeance. The comforting weight of USP-45 tactical handguns nestled against our bodies, accompanied by the reassurance of suppressors that promised stealth and precision. Our primary weapons of choice, the revered M14 SOCOM and AK-47s, lay within reach, a testament to our readiness to engage in battle at a moment's notice. Our defensive gear boasted of Class 3A plates, crafted with carbon fiber, offering a shield against the looming dangers that awaited us. Our belts housed Bofing radios, a communication lifeline that would tether us to each other in the chaos that was to ensue. Grenades nestled alongside holsters, accompanied by an assortment of blades that bore witness to battles fought in eras long gone. In the cargo area, a collection of Soviet rocket-propelled grenade launchers stood at attention, ready to unleash havoc upon those who threatened to stand in our way. As I secured my blades, the sensation of cold metal against my skin brought a sense of grounding, a reminder of the gravity of our mission. The long sleeves of my attire concealed the braces that cradled the blades, a silent vow of readiness to engage in a battle that promised to test the limits of our endurance, skill, and humanity. As the chopper lifted off, a symphony of whirring blades and roaring engines filled the air, a cacophony that heralded the beginning of a journey fraught with danger and uncertainty, yet fueled by a collective resolve to bring light into the darkness, to reclaim innocence, and to restore justice in a world that threatened to consume us all. In the midst of the undulating reverberations of the helicopter blades, time seemed to stretch, morphing seconds into minutes as the Black Hawk surged upwards, propelling us into the waiting embrace of the sky. The panorama that unfolded beneath us reduced the bustling life below to mere spectacles, mirroring a giant living tapestry woven with threads of human narratives that seemed so trivial from our bird's-eye view. Buildings that once stood as grandiose testimonies to human architectural prowess now resembled dormant behemoths, echoing silent symphonies that narrated stories of life and culture in Mexico City. Flint's voice sliced through the harmonious hum of the engines, grounding us back to the mission at hand. His words served as a reminder of the delicate balance we needed to maintain during this operation, a mission rooted in rescue, yet punctuated with the possibility of violence if deemed necessary. We were predators in the sky, ready to pounce, yet bearing a message of salvation within our claws. My gaze shifted to Fernandez, who seemed to be lost in a world far removed from the present dangers that lurked ahead. The keychain he held was more than a mere trinket. It was a relic, a tangible connection to a past that held stories and memories encapsulated within the amber prison that housed the Scorpion. I could almost feel the weight of his past resonating within that small object, a silent witness to the tapestry of experiences that Fernandez harbored within his stoic frame. As our journey progressed, the shifting tableau of landscapes narrated a poetic contrast between the majesty of human creations and the undying beauty of nature. The juxtaposition of cathedrals, colleges, and museums against the backdrop of cloud-kissed skies and golden sunlight seemed to mirror the dualities that existed within us, a mingling of darkness and light, of savagery and grace. Our aerial voyage offered glimpses of affluent estates, miniature sanctuaries of luxury, enveloped by protective barriers, a testament to the disparities that marred the face of humanity. We nourished our bodies with protein bars and water, a meager sustenance that fueled the burning flames of determination that simmered within us. Soon, the Black Hawk guided us to a stretch of land where rivers carved intricate patterns into the earth, painting a labyrinthine portrait that mirrored the complexity of the mission that lay ahead. The helicopter kissed the ground amidst a sea of legumes and varied grasses, a verdant oasis that beckoned us with a false sense of tranquility. As the rotors slowed, Flint ushered us into the open, initiating the next phase of our journey on foot. Our pace quickened as we moved with a singular purpose, our surroundings slowly morphing to reveal the opulent facade of the mansion that stood as a fortress amidst the natural beauty that surrounded it. The grandeur of the place struck me, its marble slats and elevated walls whispering tales of luxury and decadence, a stark contrast to the mission that brought us here. The pristine courtyards adorned with intricate tiles seemed to resonate with an ethereal beauty, yet housed within were forces that thrived on darkness and cruelty. We found ourselves facing a statue that seemed to embody the essence of the mansion, a deity adorned with scales, bearing a serpent and a severed head, a chilling testament to the powers that held sway in this place. As Fernandez identified the figure as the dope goddess Okan, a deity revered by the cartel, a chilling realization settled within us. At Flint's command, we lowered our bodies to the earth, taking refuge behind a protective line of bushes that offered a veil of concealment. The world seemed to narrow to the scope of our rifles, a tunnel vision that focused our sights on the unfolding drama within the courtyard. The tension heightened as we witnessed the brutality unleashed upon an elderly man, a scene that ignited a spark of rage within me. The air seemed to congeal as I steadied my aim, the weight of my finger against the trigger a palpable force that seemed to hold the balance of life and death. As the sound of the gunshot echoed through the air, time seemed to fracture, giving way to a chaotic dance of violence and retribution. The once tranquil grounds erupted in chaos as enemy forces mobilized, their scorpion emblems a testament to their allegiance to the cartel. As gunfire shattered the silence, Flint orchestrated our movements with military precision, a symphony conductor guiding us through a macabre ballet of death and vengeance. With adrenaline fueling our actions, we advanced with relentless determination, our paths illuminated by the fiery exchanges that punctuated the darkness. Fernandez, a figure of retribution, unleashed his fury with a blade that found its mark with brutal efficiency, a dance of death that seemed both savage and beautiful in its execution. Our advance continued, a relentless push towards the heart of the enemy stronghold. The air was thick with the scent of gunpowder and blood, a gruesome testament to the battle that raged around us. As bullets carved destructive paths through stone and foliage, we retaliated with a fury that seemed both righteous and terrifying, a maelstrom of violence that threatened to consume us all. With every step, we ventured deeper into the jaws of the beast, our movements synchronized in a deadly dance that sought to cleanse this place of the darkness that resided within. As we moved beneath the shelter of an overhang, a new wave of resistance met us, a desperate attempt to halt our advance, but we were unstoppably, a force united in purpose and resolve. As gunfire erupted from within the mansion, we responded with a deadly grace, a ballad of death that sought to bring an end to the cycle of violence that plagued this land. With every heartbeat, we moved closer to our objective, our spirits fueled by a determination to see justice served, to rescue the innocent, and to restore a semblance of peace to a world marred by darkness and cruelty. Amidst the frenzied maelstrom of gunfire and chaos, Fernandez was suddenly propelled backward through the air, a clear indication of the violence that was continuously escalating in our grim ballet. I had scarcely time to register this when instinct took over, my finger finding the cold familiarity of the trigger in a frantic attempt to neutralize the threat that had emerged so suddenly. Without missing a beat, I whipped around, eyes darting, scanning the labyrinthine garden for any sign of advancing adversaries, the sounds of conflict echoing ominously in the background. "You okay?" I managed to bark out amidst the cacophony, heart pounding in my ears. "I'm fine," came the gritty reply from Fernandez, who had managed to find his footing once again, his voice betraying no hint of pain. Although the bullet must have dealt a painful blow, his bulletproof vest seemed to have absorbed the brunt of the impact, shielding him from the worst. We moved swiftly, our training guiding us seamlessly along the western perimeter of the imposing structure, each step taking us deeper into the enemy territory. As we neared the corner, a chilling scene unfolded before us. Haynes, with a fiery determination ablaze in his eyes, hurled a Molotov cocktail with unerring precision. The makeshift weapon traced a deadly arc through the air, before bursting into an inferno, engulfing the hapless figure who had previously been aiming to kill Emma. The overpowering smell of fuel quickly filled the air, a grim accompaniment to the sight of the man's lifeless form collapsing in a crumpled heap, consumed by the roaring flames. Mere minutes seemed to stretch into an eternity as we fought to maintain our foothold. Haynes took the lead, his powerful leg delivering a formidable kick that sent the door crashing inward, revealing the expansive interior of the mansion. We trailed close behind, moving with a predatory grace, weapons poised and ready to engage the lurking dangers. The grand foyer greeted us with its opulent design, reminiscent of a luxury hotel lobby with its imposing spiral staircase and open space that seemed almost surreal amidst the chaos that raged outside. Without warning, a trio of armed adversaries appeared, their murderous intent clear in their narrowed eyes. A fierce firefight erupted, filling the space with a symphony of gunfire and cries of pain. Haynes responded with lethal efficiency, his armor absorbing the brunt of the bullets as he took down the first attacker with ruthless precision. Fernandez and I worked in tandem to neutralize the secondary threat, our movements a deadly dance that left no room for error. The third assailant proved to be more resilient, unleashing a volley of bullets in our direction. Without hesitation, I took aim and fired, the bullet finding its mark in the man's arm. His weapon clattered to the ground, a testament to the force of the impact. Yet, in a desperate bid to survive, he surged forward with a primal scream, only to meet the cold embrace of death as my gun barked twice, releasing 2 rounds that found their home in his neck. His momentum carried him forward a few more steps before he crumpled lifelessly to the floor, a grotesque monument to the violence that engulfed us. The resounding voice of Flint reverberated through the turmoil, his warning cutting through the noise with a chilling clarity. "Grenade!" Without a moment's hesitation, we threw ourselves to the ground, hands flying to our ears in a futile attempt to shield ourselves from the impending blast. The explosion rocked the very foundations of the mansion, the eastern wing bearing the brunt of the destructive force. A rain of debris showered down upon us, forcing us to shield our faces from the relentless assault. In the aftermath of the blast, Flint emerged from the swirling dust and chaos, his powerful frame dragging 2 limp bodies behind him. With a grace that belied his size, he leapt effortlessly over the railing, descending to join us in the foyer. Without wasting a moment, he gestured towards the lifeless forms he had brought with him. "Take what they have and reload," he commanded, his voice echoing ominously in the now silent space. "It's clear from the bottom up, We have the basement left to surge. Go, he ordered, pointing towards the oak wood door that beckoned ominously from a far left corner. Taking the lead, I found myself at the forefront of our grim procession. The weight of responsibility settled heavily upon my shoulders as I activated the flashlight affixed to my scope, its beam slicing through the darkness to reveal the path that lay before us. We descended cautiously, the aging staircase groaning beneath our combined weight, offering us access to the subterranean depths of the Anarcho mansion, a place where darkness and secrets intertwined in a macabre dance of death and deception. Flint remained close by my side, a reassuring presence amidst the uncertainty that lay ahead. Together with the others, we ventured deeper, the surroundings morphing into a Baroque-styled hallway, where ornate copper plates adorned the walls, offering silent testimony to the mansion's decadent past. The air was thick with the scent of age and decay, a mixture that seemed to seep into our very pores as we navigated the dimly lit corridors. Without warning, a scorpion emerged from the shadows, his movement a desperate attempt to halt our advance. Yet before he could act, I seized him, my grip unyielding as I snapped his wrist with a brutal efficiency. In the blink of an eye, I struck, my hand delivering a crushing blow to his solar plexus, leaving him doubled over in agony. Seizing the opportunity, I delivered a knee to his face, a satisfying crunch echoing ominously in the confined space. I felt a firm hand on my shoulder, Flint's voice cutting through the haze of violence and adrenaline that threatened to consume me. "Don't kill him," he urged, his eyes locking onto mine with a fierce intensity. "Let him go. He might have some answers that we need. He's the only one left alive." Heeding his words, I released the scorpion, my heart pounding wildly in my chest as I fought to control the primal urge to end the man's life. With a nod of understanding, I stepped back, allowing Flint and Fernandez to take over. Fernandez skillfully translated Flint's questions into fluent Spanish, his voice echoing ominously in the confined space as he sought to extract the information we so desperately needed. "Where is the soul devourer?" Flint demanded, his voice filled with a cold determination that left no room for deception. "Where is Beatrice LaSalle?" The scorpion seemed to consider his options for a moment, before spitting defiantly at Flint, a futile gesture of resistance that only served to further incense our formidable leader. Without a word, Flint drew his handgun, the cold steel glinting ominously in the dim light. With a cold precision, he fired a single shot, the bullet finding its mark in the man's left knee, a gruesome testament to the grim reality of our mission. "He'll be wheelchair-bound for the rest of his life unless he starts talking," Flint declared, his voice echoing ominously in the confined space. Fernandez relayed the message, his words carrying a weight of threat that seemed to finally break the man's resolve. Tears flowed freely as he began to speak, his words a desperate plea for mercy in a world devoid of compassion. With a trembling voice, the scorpion revealed the location of a map, a crucial piece of information that promised to lead us to the heart of the darkness that had engulfed this land. Without hesitation, Flint ordered a retrieval mission, pointing towards the ancient Olakan statue that stood as a silent guardian near the pool, its stone visage a chilling testament to the grim history that plagued this place. Moving with a newfound urgency, I made my way up the creaking staircase, the weight of our mission settling heavily upon my shoulders. As I navigated the grim landscape that lay before me, I passed the lifeless forms of at least 20 scorpions, a gruesome testament to the fierce battle that had unfolded in our quest for justice. Further ahead, a solitary figure lay amidst the carnage, a survivor of the brutal conflict that had claimed so many lives. With a swift movement, I freed the elderly man from his restraints, my heart aching at the sight of his battered and bruised form. Offering him a meager meal and some words of comfort, I urged him to find safety in the desolate landscape that stretched out before us. With a nod of gratitude, the man disappeared into the unforgiving desert, a lone figure amidst a landscape marred by violence and death. With determined steps, I approached the looming statue, the ancient figure casting a long shadow in the dim light. Drawing my K-bar, I struck with a fierce determination, my blade finding purchase in the stone head that crowned the imposing figure. With gritted teeth, I worked to free the hidden object, my fingers finding purchase on a grimy parchment map that promised to lead us to our ultimate goal. Returning to the group, I presented the map to Flint and Fernandez, who examined the parchment with a focused intensity, their eyes scanning the intricate details that promised to guide us to the heart of the darkness that had consumed this land. In a display of mercy and pragmatism, Flint ordered the release of our captive, his life spared in exchange for the information he had provided. With a grim determination, we prepared to continue our mission, our spirits fueled by the knowledge that we were one step closer to bringing an end to the cycle of violence and darkness that had engulfed this land for far too long. Our resolve strengthened. We ventured forth into the unknown, our hearts united in a single purpose: to bring justice to those who had suffered, to rescue the innocent, and to restore a semblance of peace to a world marred by darkness and cruelty. I guided him up the stairs and escorted him to the periphery of the estate. We made certain he had no means of communication, no cell phone or radio. Wishing him luck, I watched as he limped away. The harsh environment, compounded with his serious injuries, would inevitably claim his life. "This points to the tempo, Fernandez, but that can't be right," I muttered, scanning the intricate map we'd recovered. "The temple is a myth," he replied, squinting at the parchment in the dim light. "It's a place said to have been annihilated during a conflict between rival Mayan kingdoms in the 5th century. We're about to find out if it's reality or just a story," I responded, reloading my AK-47 as we nestled into the back of a Blackhawk, the helicopter propelling us through the sky following the coordinates laid out on the map. Fernandez peeled off his vest, revealing a canvas of bruising around his ribcage. Handing him my vest since his was compromised, I headed to the back to retrieve a fresh one. "New tattoo, Fernandez? Who penned it? Ambrose Bierce?" I inquired, recognizing the prose. "Yeah, it's a quote about the nature of a saint from his book, The Devil's Dictionary. It's a reminder to myself that no one is perfect. Keeps me grounded, prevents self-loathing," he explained, his voice tinged with exhaustion. "Thanks, for back there." "What you did was reckless," Flint interjected, the rebuke harsh yet not undeserved. "But it worked out. Good job to everyone for adapting to the circumstances." I accepted the criticism, understanding that my impulse to save the elderly man had triggered the subsequent events. The pilot's warning jolted us from our reflections. Staring out, we noticed a moss-covered pyramid materializing on the horizon, bearing resemblance to ancient edifices depicted in historical sketches. The sight evoked unsettling images of human sacrifices, the victims painted blue and offered to appease a voracious deity. As the sun descended, the Blackhawk found a resting spot on a grassy hill nearby. Swiftly disembarking, we settled into positions, peering through our scopes and night vision binoculars at the unfolding scene in the valley below. "My God," Tennyson whispered, his gaze fixed through his ACOG scope. Below us, a camp lay nestled near the pyramid, a chilling tableau of emaciated corpses adorned in scorpion uniforms, poised as if ready for a fiery or earthy burial. A familiar figure traversed the grim scene, igniting a spark of recognition. "It's Marissa," I noted, my voice taut. "We need her alive," Flint commanded, readying the same tranquilizer gun he'd used on me not 2 days prior. "She knows where Beatrice is. Observe her companions carefully." Tennyson reported no other significant figures nearby, and with a signal from Flint, we began our descent towards the pyramid, the atmosphere heavy with the scent of decay and the unsettling sounds of rattling snakes. Within mere feet of our objective, chaos erupted. A hatchet whizzed dangerously close to my head, followed swiftly by a net ensnaring my form. Struggling against the confining mesh, my movements were hampered significantly, rendering me unable to raise my weapon. A brutal blow to my head from the butt of an enemy's AK saw my world plunging into darkness. Consciousness returned gradually, my vision focusing like adjusting the lens of a microscope. Frantic arguments in Spanish resonated nearby, and turning my heed, I saw Fernandez suspended upside down from a palm tree, Flint and Tennyson bound similarly. Our gear was mostly gone, leaving us at a significant disadvantage. Despite the grim circumstances, a glimmer of hope flickered as I realized my knives were still tucked securely at my side. However, in my current predicament, they were of no use. We were trapped, captured by an enemy merciless and cruel. Our mission, it seemed, had taken an even darker turn, plunging us deeper into a perilous and foreboding world. Marissa grinned menacingly at us, the fierce glow of the campfire flames casting an eerie light upon her visage. Beside her lay an open briefcase, revealing a disheartening array of torture tools: hacksaws, iron rods, syringes, and needles arranged meticulously. "Where is Beatrice?" I demanded, my voice echoing ominously around us. The soul devourer merely laughed, her footsteps resonant as she advanced towards me. Grasping my jaw firmly, she leaned in, her face mere inches from mine. "They're inside," she hissed, gesturing towards the looming pyramid's entrance. "See those corpses?" she taunted, indicating the gruesome sight of blood-drained bodies scattered around. Marissa then produced an item that appeared to be the frontal portion of a human skull, adorned with two bands near the back. The design mimicked Dia de los Muertos fashion, with a casing of leathery snakeskin encasing the bone. "Beatrice's lover caused this mayhem," Marissa revealed, a wicked gleam in her eyes. "We didn't enact this carnage for sport, but vengeance. Do you comprehend the nature of the Grulians, gringo? They are shapeshifters, capable of assuming various forms." She recounted how the young man had stumbled upon a sacred mask within the temple during a failed escape attempt. His foolish curiosity had unleashed the Grulians, resulting in a vengeful carnage that threatened to consume Beatrice next. As she gloated about her impending torture session, a quick movement caught my eye. Fernandez had managed to free his hands, extracting a knife concealed within his bracer. Swiftly, he sliced through the vines restraining him and lunged at Marissa. With a decisive, forceful jab, he plunged the blade into her forehead. She collapsed, her reign of terror ending abruptly. Fernandez then proceeded to free himself fully before assisting the rest of us. As we regained our footing, we noticed the evident toll the ordeal had taken on us. Flint sported a black eye, Tennyson had sustained a gash on his forehead, and all of us were visibly exhausted. Regaining our composure and gear from the nearby tents, we readied ourselves for the impending challenge. "Beatrice is inside that pyramid," Flint declared, gesturing towards the ominous structure. "We proceed as planned." "But what about the Grulians?" Tennyson queried, clearly unsettled by the tale Marissa had woven. Flint dismissed it as a mere scare tactic, urging us to maintain our focus on retrieving the golden hand. With a collective, determined nod, we ventured into the temple. The initial passage revealed an extensive corridor adorned with stone blocks and remnants of ancient mortar. Soon, we found ourselves in a grander space, the pathway illuminated by torches dangling from the walls. The area displayed magnificent Mayan artistry, with intricately designed stucco friezes depicting human figures adorned with elaborate bird, headdresses, and jade ornaments. We continued through the chambers, each offering a glimpse into a time long past, with exquisite artifacts and sculptures, evoking both wonder and foreboding. Eventually, we reached a chamber where moonlight streamed through openings in the ceiling, casting ethereal beams upon a Stonehenge-like arrangement of obelisks. In the midst of this ancient realm stood Beatrice, her attire, a white top and black cargo pants bestowed upon her by the cartel, marred with sanguine stains. As I approached to free her from her bonds, a chilling pronouncement escaped her lips. "They are coming." A cacophony of hissing sounds filled the space, a forewarning of the peril swiftly approaching. Before we could fully grasp the unfolding scenario, Tennyson was lifted off his feet, yanked into the air by an unseen force. Moments later, his lifeless body plummeted to the ground, drained of blood in a manner reminiscent of the corpses outside. Our surroundings descended into chaos as we encountered the true culprits: gargantuan serpents equipped with wings resembling those of a bat, their expansive wingspans brandishing sharp, piercing tips. As one swooped down, its body resembling a battering ram from medieval times, Flint bravely fought back, slashing fervently at the creature. The beast retaliated, its wings slashing across Flint, staining his clothes with a grotesque mixture of fluid and fibers. With the grim realization of the reality of the Grulians setting in, we braced ourselves for a battle against an enemy as ancient as the ruins that surrounded us, an adversary that threatened to engulf us in a darkness from which there would be no escape. In the midst of the chaos, Payne raced forward with an impromptu plan, trying desperately to mount the terrifying creature that was wreaking havoc around us. But the beast's hide proved too slick, too elusive. Without a moment's hesitation, I sprinted towards Garnet, using his sturdy shoulders as a springboard to propel myself onto the creature's back. A fierce battle cry echoed from my throat as I unloaded a full magazine into the foul Grulian. the resonating gunshots a testimony to our unyielding resolve. The creature shuddered and collapsed, folding inward much like a slinky, its life force extinguished. I hit the ground hard, a sharp pain radiating from my side as I managed to extricate myself from the still quivering flesh of the monster. Flint seized the opportunity, grabbing Beatrice's hand firmly and darting towards the pyramid's entrance, urging us with fervent gestures to follow suit. The pace was relentless, a desperate race against creatures that seemed to spawn from the very shadows themselves, their movements both fluid and rapid, akin to a high-speed vehicle. The echoing, grotesque sounds they made intensified the already palpable fear that clung to us, driving us to the brink of desperation. Flint showcased his expertise, expertly hurling a grenade into one of the pursuing creature's gaping maw. A muffled explosion resonated, a grim rain of innards followed, momentarily slowing our relentless pursuers. But it wasn't enough. Another Grulian emerged from the darkness, its form undulating ominously as it began a grotesque transformation. Fearing the unknown horrors it might morph into, I lobbed a grenade over my shoulder, a desperate attempt to halt its advance as we breached the threshold of the pyramid's mouth. Fernandez, a figure of unwavering courage, turned to face the creatures, a defiant cry escaping his lips. But his bravery was met with a cruel fate, as a beast's tongue shot out, striking him with ruthless precision. His anguished cries filled the night as his lifeblood began to saturate the ancient soil, drawing the monstrous entities ever closer. With my heart pounding wildly in my chest, I launched a series of grenades, the last of my arsenal, in a frantic bid to halt the onslaught. Retrieving Fernandez's fallen keychain, I procured another explosive device, hurling it with all the strength I could muster towards the encroaching darkness. As we stumbled forward, the ground shook violently, the pyramid beginning to succumb to the force of the explosions. Rocks and debris fell in a torrential downpour, burying the creatures and, tragically, Fernandez in a catastrophic collapse. Every step felt like an eternity as we raced up the hill, finally reaching the awaiting Black Hawk. With trembling hands and hearts weighed down with grief, we managed to secure Beatrice into a seat, the helicopter lifting off just moments later. As we ascended, I couldn't shake the sight of the writhing forms below, a grotesque testament to the evil we had encountered. A profound sadness settled within me, a longing to honor Fernandez and Tennyson with the respectful burials they so rightly deserved. Determined to eradicate the evil once and for all, I retrieved an RPG from the helicopter's reserves. I steadied my breathing, aiming with resolute determination before releasing a missile that sought out and obliterated the nefarious entities below, a fiery maelstrom consuming the remnants of the creatures in a powerful, cleansing inferno. "We succeeded," Flint uttered solemnly, the gravity of our mission settling heavily upon us all. A profound silence enveloped us as we journeyed back, the barren landscape stretching endlessly beneath. I clutched Fernandez's keychain tightly, a poignant reminder of the brave man who had fought valiantly beside us. Beatrice broke the silence, her voice tinged with bitterness as she revealed the dark underbelly of her father's dealings, the cruel and complex web of betrayal and criminal activities that had ensnared her in this nightmarish ordeal. She produced the Mayan skull mask from her pocket, the cursed artifact that had been the catalyst for unleashing the unspeakable horrors we had faced. As she spoke of the intoxicating power it bestowed upon its wearer, a dangerous allure that threatened to corrupt absolutely, I knew it could not be allowed to exist. Drawing my .45, I shot the mask, a fog billowing forth from the shattered remnants, filling the helicopter with an oppressive, suffocating atmosphere. Without hesitation, I ejected the broken pieces from the aircraft, watching as they disappeared into the sands below, a dark chapter finally closed. But as the helicopter approached the mansion, Beatrice's piercing scream resounded, a symphony of anguish and betrayal that echoed ominously, hinting at further darkness yet to be revealed, as the haunting strains of foreign music intertwined with her cries, leaving an unsettling melody hanging in the air, a harbinger of complexities and trials yet to come.